Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes on this Thursday, the 21st of March. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, we're going to be talking about a developing storm in the western Gulf of Mexico that's going to be moving east across the Gulf, then across Florida and up the eastern seaboard Friday night and Saturday, and the ramifications of that particular storm system. Joe Rayo is back with me tonight, so that's at 8 o'clock Eastern Time for tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Time changes this week with Joe doing library talks for the solar eclipse, so it's an 8 o'clock start to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Um, Not much going on this morning. Believe it or not, the air mass that's moving into the northeast and mid-Atlantic states has moved in overnight and is with us today, tonight, into Friday. Is the coldest air of the month, especially when you compare it to where the normals are. For example, at the beginning of the month, when the average high is in the mid 40s, you're talking about a day where temperatures probably don't get much above the low and mid 30s, but we're in the latter part of the month of March. The temperatures instead will be only topping out in the low to mid 40s. So for this particular period of the time of year, that is considered cold. We have winter storm watches up for northeastern New York, central and northern Vermont, central and northern New Hampshire, and western Maine. Now, that is with the storm system that is coming for Friday night and Saturday. Winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories are up for much of interior Maine today, particularly as you go to the eastern part of the state, and that's with a departing storm that is going out. We also have winter weather advisories from Wisconsin across central Minnesota, north and west into uh, the northern half of Montana. There are some counties here on the southern end where we have winter storm watches, and even a few winter storm warnings have gone up. And it should be noted that for uh, North Dakota, the central Minnesota, and back over into Wisconsin and northeastern Iowa, this could very well wind up being one of the heavier snowfalls of the winter. I mean, that's the kind of winter it was across the United States. Low pressure is in eastern Maine. Colder air is coming in now as high pressure builds in from Canada. It's chilly. It's cold air with temperatures below zero up north and west of Lake Superior. That's something we didn't see very often this winter. And some of that cold air has now moved down into the northern Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley. The weather front with this is just sort of meandering through South Carolina, northern Georgia, and then back over into Arkansas, becomes stationary as it whips up the Rockies. Of course, you've got upslope that's developing here in the plains and northern Rockies, which is going to be responsible for the snow that's being forecast there. The west remains pretty quiet. There's a storm offshore, but that's not going to come in for a while yet. In the meantime, on the satellite loop, you can see the swirl up in eastern Maine as low pressure intensifies and moves to the east. It's mostly dry and nice as you head southward along the east coast down to Florida and west into the Ohio Valley. Some clouds coming out of the plains and into the upper Mississippi Valley. And then we have the beginnings now of this developing storm system in the Gulf of Mexico. And you see a lot of lightning strikes from overnight that have developed along the Texas coast. So that sign of low pressure beginning to form. And then you're also seeing the setup for snow up in the northern plains and northern Rockies as a disturbance moves eastward through the northern Rockies. And on the radar today, the lake effect has died down, but you can see the rotation here with the storm system in eastern Maine and the snow that's on the west side of that. We are also seeing the showers and thunderstorms breaking out across the Gulf Coast and an area of rain in northern Texas and southern Oklahoma with low pressure that's going to be moving east. And you see the areas of snow in southern Minnesota into southern North Dakota, and then more snow back over into Montana. WPC on the rainfall forecast for the next 5 days. So this is just the one storm system that we're talking about here. This actually takes us into next Thursday morning. We're looking at a forecast of 2 to maybe 3 inches from parts of northeastern Virginia across Maryland and Delaware through central and South Jersey to about New York City, Long Island, southern and southeastern New England. The inch and a half line goes north and west up into the Hudson Valley in western Massachusetts, also back into eastern Pennsylvania to about I-81, and then that extends down into Virginia. We're seeing heavy rains for South Florida, several inches or more over the next 5 days, and also in the lower Mississippi Valley and down across the Gulf states, where we're looking at three-quarters of an inch to areas up to an inch and a half. This again takes us to next Tuesday. This is ending Tuesday morning. Heavy precip in Minnesota, where we're talking about um, total over the next 5 days of as much as an inch and a half or more. Now, some of that's going to be rain with the system coming into play next week, but the lead stuff that we're seeing now is snow and the usual in the west, picking up some heavy snow potential in the Sierra Nevadas and the Cascades with rain along the coast. And as far as snow is concerned, this is the probability. Yeah, I'm going to switch this over to the probability for at least four. And just to note that we've got two systems here, the departing one in Maine and then the next one behind it. So the probability for at least four, which takes us to Sunday morning, is 50% or higher going all the way back north of I-90 and getting as far south as southern Vermont, almost to the Massachusetts line, southern New Hampshire, except the extreme south, and even down into coastal Maine. And of course, you also see high probabilities for four across central Michigan, back through Wisconsin, and then continuing northwestward from there through North Dakota and up into Montana. And you're starting to see it also appear in the next 3 days in the Cascades and down through the Sierra Nevadas. So low pressure is going to form here. It's going to move east. And this is the Thursday afternoon. Of course, the weather in much of the eastern part of the United States is nice today, other than the fact that it is going to be cold. And it's also going to be on the breezy to windy side in the northeast. The further north you go, the windier it is. The high is going to build in. We got a cold night coming up tonight, and rain starts to spread across the southern states during the day on Friday, kind of blossoms out Friday afternoon in Georgia and South Carolina and into North Carolina, back into northern Mississippi. We've got an area of heavy thunderstorms in the Gulf of Mexico that's going to try to make its way toward Florida. The rain area blossoms further Friday night. We'll have sunshine and arriving clouds in the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states with temperatures mostly in the 40s. Some of the warmer spots in the south could get up to about 50. And then rain comes up Friday night and Saturday with this low as it runs up the coast very close to the immediate coastline. So we've got tropical moisture that's getting involved with this. So expect heavy rains during the morning into the afternoon from Delaware to southern New England. And that's going to continue throughout the afternoon and then gradually end during the evening as the low moves to the east. Now, there will be south-southeast winds ahead of it. And being that we have a full moon on Sunday, plus we've just come off the vernal equinox, abnormally high spring tides, you can expect the risk for coastal flooding for east and south facing shorelines from Delaware to southeastern New England with this. The low is going to move away. We're going to see improving weather conditions on Sunday with a north-northeast wind, high pressure to the north. It's going to be a chilly Palm Sunday, but at least it's going to be dry through much of the eastern part of the United States. And meanwhile, you see a low coming out of the Rockies on Sunday that brings snow up to Minnesota and northeastern Iowa and Wisconsin. And that low moves on to the east and strengthens by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday. But that is going to go mostly to the north. So I don't see any problems from that system early next week. We are going to see the bottom part of this system for Saturday is going to form another storm out in the ocean between New Jersey and Bermuda. You see it there. And I just want to note that that's going to keep the onshore flow in play. And it's also, which means that maybe some clouds come in from off the coast. We'll have to see on that. But the northeast wind and the fetch from off the ocean means that we're probably going to have coastal flooding issues, uh, certainly through Monday and possibly even lingering into Tuesday of next week. So after the Saturday storm, the next chance for any rain probably doesn't come to maybe Wednesday or Wednesday night as a cold front passes. So again, tonight, the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll be talking about this storm in great detail for Friday night and Saturday, so mark it down, and we'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock.